This is the KoperCrabb Podcast.
I am Chaney Crab.
I am Navene Copperweiss, coming at you.
If you would like to buy KoperCrabb merch, go to KoperCrabb.BigCartel.com. If you would like to buy merchandise from our band, Entheos, then go to EntheosOfficial.BigCartel.com or nightshiftmerch.com/collections/Entheos. If you have not, like, subscribe, do all the stuff you can do on YouTube. Go and follow our Twitch channel, which we do the podcast live on Twitch every Tuesday. Right now we're doing it at 6:30 Central Standard Time. So
we're doing it right now.
There. Yeah, we're literally doing it right now. There are people listening live right now.
You could be one too.
You could be one. You could join us.
It's a little more informal.
True. You think so?
I just say that as a joke.
It's a little more informal. So we have some European tour dates coming up with Archspire and Psychroptic and Benighted. That starts March 3rd in Essen, Germany. March 4th. How do you say this?
Nijmegen,
Netherlands.
Yeah.
And March 5th, Belgium, Brussels. March 6th, Bristol. March 7th, Nottingham. Do they say Nottingham?
I don't know.
March 9th, Dublin. March 10th, Manchester. March 11th, London. March 12th, Paris. March 13th, in Lyon. The 15th in Madrid. The 16th in Barcelona. 17th in Montpellier, France.
Montpellier. That's pretty cool that we're going there. Animosity played there.
I don't think I've been, right?
I don't think so. I think I've only been there one time, and it was 10 years ago, or maybe, no, sorry, way more than that, like 13 years ago.
France is a beautiful country, so I'm excited to go anywhere that we go.
No, and this
there.
is like in the countryside.
Really?
Montpellier, yeah. It's really cool.
You know where I wish we were going? I'm going to finish this, is Red Torpedo that we went last time.
Mm-hmm.
That was such a beautiful little, it seemed like a little village town.
Little sleepy town.
In Italy. So the 18th, we are in, the place that Kif is in, Aru.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how to say that.
I don't either. Sorry, guys. In Switzerland. The 19th in Milan. 20th in München. 21st, Vienna. 22nd. Oh, my God. Kozice, Slovakia.
Oh, wow. It's going to be sick.
Kozice. Not sure how to say that. Kozice? Sure, I'm saying
something
that
we're going to have to work on.
Yeah, I know. You know what's funny is in places like that, I'll go up to 5 different people and ask before we go on stage, how do I pronounce this? What is something I can say on stage?
Right.
The 23rd, Budapest.
Don't look at me.
Fuck.
I just knew Nijmegen.
Yeah, I know. Well, you knew Nijmegen, and now I thought you knew everything.
I just actually have a vivid memory of the TM saying Nijmegen.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. So I might be saying it wrong. I'm just saying it like the TM did.
The 24th in Prague and the 25th in Warsaw. Wow.
That's going to be...
I'm going to learn how to say those better.
A crazy tour, man. That's going to be fun. It's been quite a while since we've been to Europe.
Yeah, I'm excited, and I'm stoked to go back out with Archspire. Psychroptic put out one of my favorite albums last year, so I'm really excited to see. I mean, all the bands are great. I'm excited to see all the bands.
The drummer of Benighted is completely
he's
insane.
Amazing.
Yeah, maniac.
Yeah.
It's like really, really good.
So sick. So it'll be fun to do that. I hope that we can do the podcast while we're there.
Yeah, we're going to try to do it. Probably won't work, but we're going to say that we're going to do it at least. We're going
to say it up until that last week.
We'll try.
Then you'll get an announcement the minute we're in Europe. Sorry, guys. As expected,
I was thinking rather than not do it, we just do an audio version because that would be really doable.
Yeah, we should do that.
I mean, that's an option. Or do a one camera.
Cell phone it.
Just do a cell phone into the laptop OBS.
Yeah.
And that's it. That could work.
All right, we'll try and figure it out because it would be fun to do it. It'd be fun to get all of the, some of the guys from the other bands on the show.
I mean, maybe we should just do that.
Yeah.
I could come here, set up, and just like stream the walls.
There you go. For the audio and lay the audio over it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as far as doing the Twitch and stuff, I don't know if that's going to work because
we definitely will not do Twitch while we're there. It'll be stuff that we post because I mean, if we did, we could do it in the middle of the day there, but
true.
But we probably won't. Let's not count on that one. But anyways,
probably won't. But we'll try. We're gonna.
You have our word that we might, and we might not.
Well, we're looking at that mobile podcasting interface. So if we get that, we should be good to go. To have it there and
just to let everyone out there know. That's what we need. Pressure us into it. But so we're putting out a song next week.
Yeah, that was
which is sick.
Pretty main topic there. Yeah, this one's gonna be cool. Did we show it to you, Harrison? The video?
I don't think so.
Okay.
All right.
Should have.
Yeah, the video's sick. Done by My Good Eye once again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure we'll talk about it next week.
And this song is kind of a little bit of a different style for Entheos.
It's a departure.
On
that song, it was a departure from the rest of their material. We're excited to put it out though. It'll be fun.
And within context of the record, it makes more sense in my opinion because the album flows together. So you get kind of eased into it. But obviously we can't put out the whole album as a single, so we're cutting songs out of it.
But we are announcing the album next week as well, same day that we're putting out a song, and pre-orders drop next Wednesday on the 18th, so keep an eye out for those.
It's pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, it's really exciting. It's been a long time. I mean, it takes forever for a record to come out, and it's sort of agonizing knowing you have something out and being on the cusp of releasing it. So it's, I'm excited.
I'm pretty good at putting it out of my mind. I just kind of act like it's never going to come out. And then now I'm like, oh, it's coming out. Like we're already at pre-orders.
Yeah, I remember you saying that before.
Yeah. That's what I do on long drives too. That's a long drive tip for you guys. Pretend like you're never going to get there. And what you do is drive now.
Well, what I think is the best on long drives is actually like putting it in parts and giving yourself a few days to do it.
Yeah.
Or splitting it up into a few hours because we like to drive places. Like we drove to Houston from Nashville last year and it was like a 15-hour drive, but we split it into 3 days. So it wasn't that bad. We stayed at a hotel and you get a...
It's really fun. I think we did it in 2 days, right? Yeah, 2 days.
Well, whatever.
But I'm more talking about when you have a drive that literally takes 3 days, like from California to
here.
Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
And then I pretend like it's never gone. Oh, by the way, I was looking through some footage, like on my GoPro memory card. I have a bunch of footage of us moving out here.
Oh, yeah.
And like I have a footage of us literally pulling up to the house for the first time, like looking at it. And it's kind of, I was going through it. It was kind of heartwarming.
Yeah, Evan was there.
Yeah.
Evan was waiting for us with our keys.
Yeah, that's right. Now that we've been here for a year.
Yeah, we've been here for a long time. And honestly, I love Nashville. I feel like sort of more integrated into Nashville than I ever really did into California. I just know more people here because I was new to California as well. Like Navene's from there. But even still, Santa Cruz is a really small place and you didn't even really know that many people there because you had, lived elsewhere for a while. But I feel more integrated into Nashville. And there's just more to do here than there is in Santa Cruz.
That's true.
But
yeah, it's been really cool. It's weird. I feel like I don't really think about living here anymore. I'm just here. But I think that's why I could live anywhere. I'm not really that particular about where I live, I think. I had a hunch that I wasn't in Santa Cruz. And then, I was thinking maybe that's just because I'm spoiled. I've lived here for so long. But moving here, I mean, I don't know. I could live anywhere.
For me, it actually does make a difference if I know people. Because it can be super, like, you can feel what's the word I'm looking for? Like cut
Isolated.
off. Yeah, isolated. You can start to feel really isolated if you do not know anyone where you're at.
Yeah,
and I
that's true.
really experienced that when we lived in LA because I'd moved to LA from Des Moines. We lived in a house with animals. Like you lived there, but I was the only real outside person. I was the only person who lived there when you guys were gone.
Yeah.
So.
And you were really young when you moved out there.
Yeah, I was super young. So
21 or something.
animals
22.
went on tour and I stayed at the house. I remember there was like this long, maybe 6-week period where you guys were in Europe and I was there by myself.
Yep.
And I did know one person, but we didn't really hang out very much. So I felt super isolated. And that was a really weird time. But in hindsight, it was fun because it's like, you know, when you're by yourself, you can kind of learn a lot of things about yourself.
Yeah, I'd like to try that.
Yeah, you should. You want me to?
I mean, I
I'll
don't
go on
like
tour.
need to do it, but I have a hunch that I'd be totally fine, entertained
I'm sure you would.
with my hobbies and stuff.
It is easy to entertain yourself.
Yeah.
That's kind of the thing is that I could, you know, do all the things I wanted to do. Like, I'm pretty good at being by myself, and I think it's because I was an only child for like 8 years
That's true.
of my life.
It's kind of weird at the time that what you're talking about when animals went on tour and you were at the house. It's like you weren't in a band or anything.
No.
Did you want to be in a band at that time?
Yeah, I don't know if you remember this, but I was going to start a band with Bobby Valou, who's the guitar player of Walls of Jericho now. But
I vaguely remember you trying to record vocals for something.
it was for Bobby.
Okay.
And Bobby came over because he lived in LA or like outside of LA at the time.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a hardcore project.
Right.
And I was going to do that.
Something?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Or at least vocals. But I was going to do that with Bobby and it just never.
Didn't materialize.
Yeah. And then we moved in with Keen. And that's when I did Systems. So I wasn't in a.
That's right.
It seemed like a long period that I wasn't in a band, but it actually wasn't.
Yeah. How long was it? I'm actually curious now.
Maybe like 2 years between moving away from Des Moines and then doing Systems.
You think it was that long?
I know it was that long.
Really? Because I don't think. How long did we live in LA? Like I thought that was only 2 years. It was probably less than that.
Yeah, you're right.
It was probably like,
it was like a year and a half.
Or maybe even less.
No, we lived in LA from. I moved in like April. You moved in January, and then we left the following September, or maybe at the end of August.
But you weren't. Okay, so when we started hanging out and stuff, talking and everything, were you in a band in Des Moines at that time, or no? How'd you guys split up?
We split up, but I was starting to play with another band.
Curse of Hell, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you had jam with them?
Yeah.
And then you were like, all right, guys, that's not going to work. I'm moving to LA.
Pretty much, yeah. They're
Man.
still a band, actually, The Curse of Hail.
I wonder if they're all bummed now.
No, they have a vocalist. They're killing it.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, they're doing good.
Hell yeah.
There are a lot of sick Des Moines bands, actually. I was thinking about this the other day because I watched, Corey Taylor's son is in a band.
Right.
Called Vended. Is that the name of the band?
That's the band that you showed us, right, Harrison? No. So who showed them to us? Somebody showed them.
No, I know about it because it's a Des Moines. They're from Des Moines.
Oh, okay.
So that's how I've heard
I'm
of them.
thinking about Mike Portnoy's kids' band.
Oh, yeah. You're thinking of Tala.
And it is Vended.
Okay, Vended. So a week or so ago, I was watching, I clicked on a Vended interview. It came up in my YouTube. I was like, I'm going to see what these kids are about. They're from the same place that I'm from.
Mm.
So they started talking about this old Des Moines band called the Cassandra Disease, which they were kind of a new metal band and they dressed up in these white outfits. And I thought
That's a really funny band.
I thought that was so goddamn sick that they had these white stage outfits. And thinking back, I think they might have had blood. I think there might have been a blood element. But anyway, they were one of the bands, the earliest local bands that I started going to see.
Okay.
When I was 12 or 13. So I was just like, whoa, that's amazing that there are other people. Yeah, that's amazing that they know
They must have
about
not
old school.
been born at that time, right? Are they really young?
I don't know how old they are, but they are like, I know that I think 2 of them have members of Slipknot as their parents. And from what I remember, Slipknot, like I would see Corey Taylor at metal shows when I was a kid.
Okay.
At like small local shows. And I want to say I saw him at the Cassandra Disease show at the old House of Bricks.
You saw a little kid there with Slipknot parents?
No, just Corey.
Okay.
So I would assume that that's, they, if they were too young, then maybe their parents showed them this like Des Moines band.
Okay.
But I thought that was crazy just because, Des Moines there aren't a ton of musicians who come from Des Moines.
Right. Well, you're representing, Chaney.
For sure.
Okay. So you weren't in a band for like a year and a half.
Wait, are you doing the thing to me now?
I'm interviewing you.
Because before the podcast, Navene was like, why don't you interview me for the podcast tonight?
I'm just in an interviewing mood.
All right. You're doing a good job. Yeah, let's keep doing it. I'll do it. I like it.
I'm going to interview. You cool with that?
Yeah, I'm cool with
All right. So you're not in a band. You pack up your bags. You say bye to your band. Sorry, guys. It's not going to work. I'm going to LA.
That's not really what happened. But I only practiced with them one time.
Okay. So you were potentially going to be in the band. You weren't really like in.
Right. Yeah. I was jamming. But I remember I went over and they were like watching sports. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to hang out with these guys.
Red flag.
Not a red flag. Just that I felt like we just didn't have the same interests, which is great because I think that my friend Ken, who is the vocalist now, is probably, into watching sports.
Yeah, so you were like, sports probably not going to work.
I was kind of like, probably not.
I hear you. I mean, if I was in a band and they were watching sports all the time, I would never watch it. I would be in the other room doing something else.
Yeah.
Reading or something.
Yeah.
All right. So, but I feel like
really good band though. Check them out. Yeah, they're a Des Moines band.
I remember they opened. I've seen them play a couple times.
Probably, yeah. And actually, so Ben Monroe, who's the bass player of that band, I have known him since he was like 7 or 6 years old. Maybe he was older. Maybe he was 10. I don't fucking know.
But
he was my friend Paul's little brother. And then he started playing bass and it was like, oh wow, Ben. And then we played in a few things together when we were kids, but I've known him forever.
Got it.
Anyways.
Yeah, I know him.
Yeah, you do know Ben.
Is he still recording?
I think so. He has like a solo project.
Okay. All right. So when you moved to LA, did you think that you were going to be in a band again, or were you kind of like, well, maybe I just won't do that again?
No, I 100% thought I was never going to be in a band again.
Really? That was that?
Yeah, I just kind of stopped playing. It was kind of more after Systems, I guess, because I think that EP came out in like 2012.
All right, so let's talk about Systems.
Okay. You're doing a really good job.
I like this.
I'll interview you next episode.
I think it's... You know what I was thinking the other day? I was thinking the other day, we've never interviewed each other.
That's true.
So, I mean, it's kind of cool. Like, people probably want to hear this stuff about you.
This is the Chaney special.
Yeah, so...
That's my screenshot this week.
No, you did that last week. You can't do another prayer.
Okay,
yeah, there we go. Bad.
She bad.
All right, so... All right, let's get this straight. When did you first start doing vocals in Des Moines? And then we'll get to Systems.
We're doing that. Take me back.
Let's just go real quick. We'll get there real quick. Just a brief
When
overview.
did I start doing vocals?
Yeah.
When I was 12 or 13. When I was in 8th grade.
So you're in 8th grade and you're like doing vocals into the back of a comb downstairs, or like how's that working?
Well, actually, I sang for a long time before that. Like I was a singer way before I was a screamer. Which is a fun fact that people probably don't know about me because I've only screamed in bands until next week.
So when you say you're a singer, what does that mean? Were you singing at school? Were you singing?
I was in swing choir. I was in musicals. I was in Fiddler on the Roof. I had like a lead. And then I was in Schoolhouse Rock, a musical.
That sounds nerve-wracking, having to learn all those lines.
I was in swing choir. Thanks, Navene. I was in swing choir, which you have to try out for. So... When I was in 6th grade, at the end of my 6th grade year, I had to like do a solo in front of people around a piano. So I was in swing choir. I could sing. and then I became a screamer because I got into metal.
Okay.
But I had like a karaoke machine and stuff. My grandma bought me one. Like I've always played music. I've always had it in my soul.
You've always been musical. Yeah, I know there's a picture
Always, my
of
whole
you
life.
that we have, and you're like playing a snare drum, and you're like a little kid. And then there's another picture of you, you're playing guitar, and you're really, really young, like 5 or something.
Yeah, I think it was like 2, 3.
Okay, 2, yeah, way off what the kid age is.
It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell with kids.
You don't have a kid. You don't really have very much reference.
True.
But okay, so was there a particular band that you heard where you're like, all right, I'm gonna do that. I want to scream like that.
It was probably honestly going to those local shows.
Okay.
Seeing the first Des Moines local band I ever saw was called Pig Walk. And it was this guy
they
who
got
was
some
like,
funny ass names out there, man.
well, you have to understand that nu metal was a freaking like the thing. So I was seeing a lot of nu metal bands, and Slipknot was like, they were the Des Moines heroes at that time. And 35-inch Mutter, who were kind of like similar to Slipknot from what I understand. I never got into 35-inch Mutter. It was like a few years before my time.
Not as good of a band name.
Yeah. But I think there's actually a 35-inch Mutter documentary on YouTube.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I got into them.
We're gonna have
and
to check that out.
all those local bands from way back then. I was way into this band called Index Case.
Right. I
and
remember
then
you talking about that.
Yeah. And then I got really into OTEP, and they had an album called Sevestra that I was really into. And, you know, I just got into a ton of like Chimera. I was way into Lamb of God, Slipknot, Mudvayne.
Okay.
Loved all of that stuff. And then I started listening to death metal after that. So actually when I started doing vocals, when I would like go and jam at people's houses, I was singing and screaming.
Okay.
And then my friend Shane, who is a drummer, Shane Kello, he was the first person I jammed with. And we would go to his house and practice drums. And I think that started happening in like 7th grade. So maybe I did start listening to metal in 7th grade. It was around then, 7th or 8th grade.
Yeah.
But I would go
like
to Shane's
13,
house. He had drums.
Like
I wanted to play drums. I was like 12.
all right.
And I like rode to Shane's house on the bus after school. Shane's dad is a drummer.
He's like a fellow classmate or something at school?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was like my best friend at that point. And so I went to Shane's house and played drums, and we were way into metal. And yeah.
And you guys formed a band or no?
We did form a band with my friend Matt and Mark, but we never played shows. I didn't play shows until I was like, had just turned 18.
So at that point you joined a Des Moines band, and that's when you started playing shows?
When I was 18, I joined a band called Prevail in the Hail of Gunfire, and then I started playing shows. But I had done a bunch of garage bands before that.
But that was just kind of jamming, hanging out type stuff.
Exactly. I even remember the day that I found out what a 4 count was. My friend Steven, so we were having band practice in one of the bands that never played shows. And
band practice.
Yeah.
Oh, like that.
And, because we never wrote a song. But
would you guys just play like parts of other bands, songs and stuff like that? Or just kind of go for it? See
not
what happens?
really. Not in that band. Me and my friend Shane Mills, who is in a band called Widow 7. That is actually, they play like festivals and stuff, like Blue Ridge and all of that stuff.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Shane Mills, he's the drummer of that band. You have met him. He lived in LA.
Okay.
Do you remember him? Blonde guy. He went to MI.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Shane.
I remember
So anyway, Shane and I had like a band when I was maybe 16, and we would cover songs. We would cover like Holy Wars by Megadeth and some Lamb of God. And their critique of me was that I needed to stop sounding like so much like Randy Blythe.
That's kind of funny because so I think people listening would probably assume that you were more influenced by like female fronted bands or whatever, but
Yeah.
I think that you didn't really think of it that way, right? You just kind of heard stuff you liked and wanted to do it, and you weren't thinking, oh, this person's a girl or a guy. Just, I want to be like that. That's that.
Yeah, no, I didn't give a shit about that. I cared about the voice.
It wasn't like you didn't know it was possible for you to do it until you heard.
No.
Yeah, you were like,
I never considered that. I never was like, oh no, I'm a girl, I'm not going to be able to do this.
Yeah.
And I didn't like have to find that woman to be empowered. I just heard metal and I was like, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, it's like
I want to do
no
this.
factor, I'm doing it.
Yeah, I didn't give a crap.
That's cool. It's good attitude. You still have that attitude.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's awesome to see it, and it was awesome to see women and to get way into bands that had women who were fronting them, but I obsessed over both the same. It never mattered the gender of a person. It always mattered what their like timbre and their vocal style and if they did it well. And what really got me is and still gets me is when I see bands live. So I care about that a lot.
Yeah.
Like a band has to
vibe.
kill it live for me to be way into them.
Okay, so so they told you shouldn't sound so much like Randy Blythe.
Yeah.
So what did you do to kind of counteract that Blythian vocal style?
I don't know. I think it's always kind of been my attitude, but maybe that's a part of why I just like will take aspects of every vocalist that I'm into and kind of use that for my own thing. So I kind of learned to do that more and more, but I was 16, you know, I hadn't been exposed to every metal band in the world. I was coming out of like being obsessed with Lamb of God. I loved Lamb of God. I have like a Burn the Priest hoodie even from back then. But I just think that that's what happens naturally over time. They probably honestly played just like Megadeth then, because they were way into Megadeth. It was probably more like, hey man, we like the Randy Blythe part of you, but can you get a little Dave Mustaine in there too?
Okay.
So it wasn't like, that's just what happens as you get older. You get it way into different kinds of music. And now we have the internet, so you can kind of click through every single video and find out about 1 million different bands in a month's time. But back then it's like,
I know it wasn't like that.
Yeah, I had to get into Lamb of God to then get into whoever, Shadows Fall, who they were going on tour with. And then Shadows Fall, I got like the Metal for the Masses, and that got me into Meshuggah. So you had to kind of like, if you didn't have someone who was showing you the way, you had to kind of like dig. And a lot of my friends were more into metalcore type bands than I was. I was into heavier stuff. So when I started meeting death metal people, then I got more into that. But, a lot of my friends were like, which I liked, Killswitch Engage, but a lot of my friends liked that kind of stuff and Norma Jean and Every Time I Die and all of that stuff. So they would show me that. But I really, really deeply fell in love with like more death and progressive metal. Now we know that.
Yep.
That's just how it goes though.
So who were some of the first death metal bands that you got into?
Fetus.
Yeah.
Origin.
Me too. It's kind of funny. It's like have a similar kind of story.
Yeah, what's yours?
It's like, well, it was more kind of like you. I didn't really you get more inspired from like the local scene or whatever because you think you can actually achieve that.
Totally.
I never thought I could be in like a touring band. That wasn't
Me
really.
either. That's
I have no idea how to do that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, just playing more. I was like more a part of the hardcore scene.
Yeah.
I like going to that from a really young age, and then I kind of became the like more death metal dude who went to hardcore shows.
Yeah, totally.
Because that's what all my friends did.
See, I didn't go to a hardcore show. I think I was like 15 or 16 when I went to a hardcore show because Too Pure to Die, they were like local legends, So one of my friends, the friend who showed me Every Time I Die actually took me to a Too Pure to Die show. And that's when I was exposed to hardcore. So that was kind of like around the same time as death metal, really. I mean, I was like way into Bleeding Through. They were kind of like Bleeding Through and Norma Jean and Every Time I Die, stuff like that. That was like me right before death metal or as I was getting into death metal. But yeah, I went to a hardcore show then. And then I was like, this fucking rules. Because
the energy.
Yeah, the energy of a hardcore show is so different than like at new metal shows, they would push mosh and stuff like that. And it would go hard and I'd be in the pit, but it was more like that. But at hardcore shows, you got like hardcore dancing in the whole room going fucking crazy and like head walking and crowd surfing and just
All
like
kinds of crazy stuff.
the crowd is alive at hardcore shows to a point that like the crowd and the band playing become one.
Mm-hmm.
And that is inspiring to me. That's like that performance of hardcore is something that I've never like never let go of that.
Yeah, I mean that was kind of a problem that I had with playing like in the progressive scene or whatever. It was more of like a performance like talent show kind of a thing.
Right.
And I was kind of like, I don't know, it was just a little awkward. Like
For
I like
sure.
to play at shows where people are getting sweaty and crazy.
Well, it's
You
almost
can really feel it. You know, that's like what music's about, not just critiquing their technique and stuff. That's secondary to me.
Yeah, I feel that too. It's almost like, you know how when you pet a cat, it purrs, so you know that it's down for you. But when you pet a dog, it doesn't make any noise whatsoever.
Yeah.
I want that purr.
Yeah,
I want the
purr.
crowd to like, I like when the crowd goes off. It like makes me feel like I'm doing something right, I guess.
Yeah.
But I can still play a show where people just stand there.
Yeah,
But
of
I
course.
agree with you. It is a different vibe. You feel like you're putting on a performance or you're a part of the theater more than,
Talent show.
yeah, it feels like more of a talent show.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, I mean, with Entheos, we're kind of trying to like bridge those two, like be technical and cool and progressive and have crazy shows.
Yeah,
So it's
absolutely.
kinda- I think we're tapping into it.
I think so
we're tapping into
too.
it.
I think so
The
too.
last show was crazy,
Yeah, it really was.
which you guys will see at some point.
Next month.
But okay, should we proceed with the interview?
Let's do questions. How long have we been doing this interview?
Let's just wrap this interview up real quick.
Oh, okay.
All right, so people probably want to know. They're invested at this point.
What happens
How long have we
next?
been going for?
30 minutes.
Okay, that's
Oh,
enough.
okay. Yeah, we got time.
All right, so you pack your bags, you tell all your friends goodbye, going to
I'm
LA.
leaving. I'm leaving.
That's funny though, because you're moving to LA, but you weren't moving there to like try to make it. You were just moving there to be with me. You know, it's not
True.
like it's not the typical story. I guess is what I'm
Definitely
saying.
not.
But
Didn't care about
So-
making it in any way.
yeah, so I'll keep it kind of brief. I won't go into every detail.
Never
but
actually pictured myself moving to California. Like, you know how people, well, I don't know if you know this. I was telling you this. Maybe Harrison knows about this. People lust after California. Like in my high school, people would be like, I'm going to be that person who moves to California. But I was never a person who lusted after.
yeah,
I didn't care.
that's why we're together.
Yeah, that's true.
So you moved there, we're hanging out, we're having fun, we're young and wild and doing all that kind of stuff, LA stuff. But so after a while you're kind of like, maybe I should be a vocalist again, or when did that kick in?
Systems?
No, like just wanting to be in a band again.
Right after I moved to, well, I wanted to be in a band again right away.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
love playing music. So and I, was in a band consecutively from the time I started Prevail, or I didn't start Prevail, but I joined Prevail to a couple of months before I moved to LA.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So I wanted to be, I guess I wasn't really thinking about it for the first 6 months because, we
having
were
a good
kind of
time.
partying and
Yeah.
having a good time, and I was doing merch, but I always kept it in mind because on that tour, so the way I met the guys from Systems is I was booking lessons for Tosin and Hav and you, I guess.
Managing the lessons.
Managing the lessons.
Wow, you've came a long way, Chaney.
In 2011.
That's
In 2011,
not a good job.
God, that was not fun. What was also not fun is that I can't remember if it was all of you. Maybe I was mostly doing Tosin's, but he would cancel a lot.
Yeah.
So I had to break the news to the person a lot because
Give him a hug.
Yeah, and I had to be like, sorry, man, he's not coming, or he's not going to do it. Some days he would do it. But anyway, so I met the guys in Systems because that tour went to, I think, Oklahoma, where they lived.
Right.
And Danny just like made friends. Tanner, who's the guitar player of Systems, had a lesson with Tosin. And Danny, who is the drummer, had booked it. So anyway, Danny like hit me up on the internet and we stayed kind of connected. And he showed me his band. And I was like, they had a vocalist. Or they were going to get this guy on vocals. And I was like, dude, you have to let me be the vocalist. Like, yeah, don't
their
get
music
that guy.
is really freaking cool, by the way.
It is cool. There are a lot of cool things. And some of it even reminds me of Entheos.
Yeah, it's really weird. And
it's hard to follow.
It is.
It's hard to follow. But there are a lot of
stuff like it.
If it had better production and maybe was a little more cut the riffs maybe by a quarter, then maybe
there's a lot of riffs
going
on.
But there are a lot of good riffs.
Yeah, it's really cool.
There are a lot of cool melodic ideas, but nothing that's like super perfected.
Cool. Yeah.
But yeah, so we did that.
So you did that, and then you guys so Danny the drummer, he like exited the picture when you were in the band basically, right?
Yeah.
And then
still one of my best friends to this day.
Danny. I actually talk to him sometimes. He's a really cool guy.
He's great.
So you guys did try to do like a couple shows, right?
Yeah, and it was just a train wreck.
Yeah, just didn't work out.
Didn't work out. We were going to get so John Truesdale, who is the bassist of Lie by Mistake.
Yeah.
He was going to play bass for us, which I was stoked on because he was sick in his day. And yeah, it just didn't work out.
Didn't work out. So you came back home. I remember that, picking you up.
I was bummed and I was like, I'm going back to school. This is whack.
And at that point you were kind of like, okay, that's it for me.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, for a while because it had just going through the Systems thing had kind of burnt me.
Yeah.
As sometimes bands do.
Yeah, bad experience basically in the end.
Yeah. Until you talked me into doing Entheos. But which really stemmed from you got stems because Sumerian wanted you to do a Veil of Maya remix of a Veil of Maya song when you were doing Navene K.
Yeah, so I had the separated stems for the song that we did or whatever that was.
Yeah, what's the name of that song?
I don't know.
Unbreakable.
Okay.
So you had the stems for it, and this was before we knew Brandon was leaving the band.
They didn't need a vocalist or anything.
They didn't need a vocalist, and you asked Mark because it wasn't like a playthroughs, especially for vocalists. This was not a big thing back then. Now you see them every day.
Was that 8 years ago or something?
Yeah, it was in 2014. But now you see them every day. Back then it wasn't a thing. So Navene asked Mark if I could make a cover of Unbreakable.
Yeah, and I had the stems, and he's like, yeah, of course. Because you knew Mark at the time. I remember you were you have known those guys for a while.
Yeah, I have. I've known them. I met them the same night I met you.
Oh, right. Of course, because we played with them.
Yeah, because you were on tour with them, and we all partied together.
That's right.
But
yeah, so I was like, was it my idea for you to do that, or did you want to do it?
Well, you asked him if I could do a cover, and he said yes. And this was like really early that year. We just never did it. And then we were like driving down the street and I was scrolling on Facebook or something. And I was like, the vocalist of Veil of Maya just quit the band. We have to go do that cover right now. Because I was like, gonna shoot my shot.
Yeah.
We have to do the cover. I didn't even really know the song. Like, I hadn't listened to it that much. I was way into Common Man's Collapse, but I just hadn't I was kind of like in California and like not really paying attention to music and stuff.
Yeah.
So I hadn't really heard the song. We went home and I listened to the song like 3 times back to back and read the lyrics and I was like, okay, I got this. And we just shot it.
Yeah, that's the thing that a lot of people don't know about Chaney. When we do those playthrough videos and stuff, she usually just does it one time. That's it.
Yeah, it's not like a process.
Just on it.
I just shoot it one time.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, we did that, and it was cool because we had the song without the vocals.
Yeah. So that honestly, I think helped my case a little bit because No one else. There were a few other people who did covers of songs, but no one else had the instrumental of the song. So that gave me a leg up, and it made my vocals stand out a little more on the track. Yeah.
But then I remember it kind of like blew up a little bit. It like went kind of viral a little.
Yeah, I mean, I woke up.
News sites started posting it and all this stuff.
Yeah, dude. I was like, keep in mind, no one cared about me, or I had never been posted on any of those sites. No one cared about me or any band I was in.
Yeah.
And then for some reason, Revolver, I think it's because you posted it from the Flesh Rot page.
Oh, really?
You posted it from the Flesh Rot page and
hooked
then
it up.
Yeah, definitely hooked it up. And a ton of people heard about it just because Revolver and Metal Sucks and everyone, like, I think Metal Sucks made a story that was like, hey, Veil of Maya, hire this woman to be your vocalist.
Revolver posted it too.
Yeah,
like
they did.
It was kind of a thing.
And it was my birthday.
Oh my God, dude. Yeah, because remember we went to the Spaghetti Factory when it was like blowing up.
Yep, we did. Because back then I was like, oh my God, this video is doing insanely. Now I'd like post my video and just don't pay attention to it. Yeah. Back then I was like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
So yeah, that kind of happened. And then Navene went on tour to Europe. And while you were on tour in Europe, people were talking to you about it, right?
Yeah, they were like, oh, your girlfriend is that girl who did the Veil of Maya cover. Like a lot of people were talking to me about it. Yeah, like all the bands that I was on tour with and stuff. This was when I was doing that like electronic side project thing. So yeah, a lot of people were talking to me about it. And I was doing that side project thing, going through my phases. Damn it. But yeah, I started missing being in a band, you know, and playing metal and stuff. And then I saw that you were like blowing up and shit, and I was like, yeah. And you were talking about maybe joining Veil of Maya, and I was getting jealous.
Yeah, because I did actually, I can't remember the name of that first single that they put out, but I did record. Their management sent me like the song to do vocals on. So I did actually try out for the band. And somewhere I have that song of me doing vocals on the song. And I remember it being pretty sick.
No, definitely. But then I think ultimately they were looking for someone who had more of that like metalcore singing style.
Definitely.
Yeah. That's kind of more the direction that they were going.
Yeah, and I think that they chose really well for what they want to do.
Well, me too, because
makes
now we
the
have
most
Entheos,
sense.
So they
and Entheos wouldn't exist without it. And you know, it just lined up that Evan had just quit the Faceless, and Frank was trying to do Realms of Vision with you. So you were like, let's not do Realms of Vision. Let's
do a metal band.
Do a metal band. So that's how Entheos was born.
Yeah. But you know what? It wasn't really that much time. It's not that much time that we were together until we started Entheos. Like we've been in Entheos way longer than not as a couple.
Yeah, that's true. But you know what's funny is that I've seen, or then maybe like a few years ago, I would see people who they thought that you guys were like forming a band, like trying to get Animosity back together, and that you found me because of the Veil of Maya.
That's kind of a
cover.
Cooler story.
They think you found me because of the Veil of Maya cover, and that we started dating. We fell in love as bandmates.
It's kind of, I don't know. Do you think that's a better story than the real story? That might be kind of better.
No, I think it's actually a better story that we knew each other. I knew Evan. I had toured with Evan.
So that makes it not as cool. It's not as like, whoa, girl from a small town gets picked and makes it.
Yeah, but it makes our relationship seem a lot more stable.
Yeah, for sure. It's more solid the other the real
it's
way.
Like, oh, okay, the band's not going to break up because of them. You know, because I would be like, damn, is the band going to go awry because of...
Yeah. Like, how's this going to work? Like, yeah.
But we had been together for a pretty long time.
You know, I will say, I think that really does help the fact that we were already together for 4 or 5 years, probably.
Yeah.
And then doing the band. So I think that definitely makes us more solid than if we got together in the band and then I don't know.
Oh yeah, and then we were trying to manage a band together.
That'd be a little weird.
And like figure out our relationship. That would be
because we had time to get used to each other.
Yeah, we
and then do the
knew
band.
we knew what we were getting into. And honestly, like your mom had brought up you playing music with me for a few years. Your mom has called me the famous Chaney
I
Crab
know.
since
My
the
mom
moment she
is
met me.
the original supporter. She's like, why can't you make a song with Chaney? How
Yeah.
come you can't just make one song with her?
But I didn't want to make music with Navene because Flesh Rot, dementia dyslexia is, and I knew about Flesh Rot when Flesh Rot was on MySpace. Flesh Rot, that record has been one of my favorite metal records forever. And I didn't want to like come in and be the girlfriend who's like forcing her way into a band. Like I didn't want to do that. You actually forced me into
No, I was like, come on, dude, let's start. Because I know you actually were hesitant. Let the record show. She was
Still
hesitant
am.
to
Still
start
am.
the band with me. And I was like, come on, dude, it'll be sick. Let's do it.
I know. And I was really nervous. But looking back, it's like it's been a great, if I could tell myself then what I know now. But anyways, that's the story of how
Yeah.
Entheos came to be.
And
And
that's
now we're
where we are
about
now.
to announce our third album.
Yeah,
And
it's
we're on
crazy.
freaking Metal Blade Records, dude. I mean, come on.
Come on now.
It's
It's been a good run.
been a good run, and I can't wait to
been a
see
great
what's next. It's going to be rad.
I'm starting to feel a little old, but I'm hanging
Well,
in
you
there.
still got a man bun, so you're staying youthful.
That's true.
You still got a man bun in your ear pods or whatever over there. Your pods.
No one can see my ear pod.
All right, so let's get some questions in.
I think that was a pretty good interview. What do you guys think?
I think that was great, and I loved talking about all of that stuff.
I know. You were like, are we really doing an interview? And then like halfway through, you're just going at it. I'm like, she does like it.
I do like it.
mind
You know I love it. All right, I'll do an interview of Navene next time because I've got a lot of things to ask you.
It hit me today. I was like, dude, we've never interviewed each other. Maybe we have, and I just don't remember. But it was probably so long ago
That's
that
true.
nobody else remembers either. But we might as
All right,
well,
well, it was nice to get
tell
that
the
all
story
off my
on here.
chest.
I mean, fuck it.
Yeah, that was great. All right, questions?
Yeah. Do we have any?
Starting off with Double Plate 76. Will pre-orders for the new album be on your Big Cartel site or record label?
Record label.
Yeah.
They will not be on Big Cartel. Make sure buy those from the record label and buy them. There are going to be a ton of different.
Buy 'em.
I think 4 variants, 4
Yeah, a lot
US
of
variants,
vinyls.
4 European variants. Maybe it's 3.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of vinyls.
I'm
8
gonna order all of
tracks.
them.
You know what would have been sick is a cassette tape.
Maybe we can do that.
Double cassette.
Yeah.
Pretty
Why
cool.
stop there? Go to the 8-track.
Yeah.
Yeah.
8-track.
We're keeping pre-orders pretty simple, I think. I think there is a t-shirt and vinyl. I don't know.
And
though.
CDs.
Maybe
I
there's
would
other
assume,
stuff. Yeah, maybe there's CDs and stuff, but we're keeping it pretty simple because the label wants us to be able to make money off of merch, which is awesome.
Oh yeah, like
So-
they're not gonna. So maybe we'll drop like a line of merch to go with it or something.
Yeah, I think we will drop a line of merch, but honestly, for the next like couple of weeks, I just want the focus to go
Yeah.
into the album because we do want to sell albums.
we do. Support.
Yeah. So buy a CD, buy a vinyl. Listen on Spotify. Buy it on Bandcamp. It'll be there.
Buy. No, I mean whatever. If you don't have any money, then
Consume.
then don't buy it.
All right, next up, Jake Scrappile. How often do you guys practice an entire set list, or is it more of a solo practice?
Ooh, whoa. We just practice the set before we go on tour. So maybe a few days before the tour, Chaney and I will start. We'll play it a couple times,
Mm-hmm.
and then.
Before that, I'll do it on my own.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. This last show that we did, I had not even played the songs at all since the last tour,
August.
and that includes a song that we had never played before.
Yeah.
So I just wing it.
I
That's how I roll.
started practicing that set a week before we
Yeah.
played live. But I practice all the time. I do vocals all the time, just not full sets.
Yeah.
And then we played it with the band for 2 days. And
Worked out great.
went off without a hitch.
If you can practice for like, for us, it seems like 2 days, 2 or 3 days, we're like solid, good to go.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, I just practice on my own to like keep my chops up and stuff, and then I'll practice to make playthrough videos.
Yeah. Or practice too.
Other than that.
If there's a technique or something that you want to learn, you do that a lot. I've been doing that a lot lately. Because now I'm having to practice going from like singing to screaming to pitched screaming and back to singing. So I'm trying to make sure that my voice, that I know like what I'm doing in a live setting when I'm doing that stuff, and that I've got everything just down.
That stuff that you're working on sounds really cool. That those different techniques.
Yeah, I got my technique game over
leveled
here.
up. They're like more level volume wise.
Yeah, my pitched screaming is becoming a lot better. I think I unlocked the place in my throat to do it. It's more of it's like close to a high but underneath a high.
It's unlocked.
Unlocked. Remember I showed you the other day.
I know, it sounds great. Loving it.
Next up is from Taylor D's. Question for Navene. For the drum solo section on Fix the Error, did you hear or see any of the other guys' solos first? How did all of that come about?
No, I didn't hear anybody's solos. I didn't really hear the song either.
I think they just gave you like the bars.
They gave me like the part,
Mm-hmm.
just the part. And we're like, here, you should do a solo on this. But the way it came about was just because I've been friends with them for a really long time. And that's pretty much it. I guess they like the way that I play drums.
When did you meet those guys?
I met them, I sort of didn't really meet them, but Animosity played our first Southern California show with them when I was 16.
Wow.
So that was 21 years ago.
Yeah, we need to get one of those guys.
Am I 37 or 38?
I can't remember. We need to get...
No, I'm going to be 38 this year. So yeah, I'm 37.
We need to get another BTBAM podcast. We had Blake on the podcast. Navene was, a little...
Too tipsy.
I think we both were kind of tipsy because we did 2 podcasts in that day.
And you have to get drunk if you're doing a podcast.
Now we're not drinking, so we'd just do a straight-laced sober one.
A straight interview. So, Blake, tell me about that.
That's what the people want to see.
I'm into it.
Why wouldn't the people want to see that?
That's what I want to see. How about that?
I want to see it.
Yeah, so I met them then, and then I was a huge fan, and a couple years later, or 4 years later, when they were about to put out Alaska, Animosity played some shows with them because Red Chord, they were on tour with Red Chord, and we were on tour, and we would like ditch our tour to go play with them because Guy from Red Chord got us on the shows, and their shows were like way sicker because they were hyped. And so I just made really good friends with all the band. I was like into all kinds of music and stuff, and so are they. So I was like,
I believe you got Dan Briggs into Frank Zappa, right?
That's what I think. That's what I think. Well, it may or may not be true, but I'm pretty sure. Because I remember talking to him and being like, are you into Frank Zappa? And he was like, no. And I'm like, dude, really? And then I was like showing him. I was way into it at the time.
Well, so...
But yeah, I've just been friends with them forever. And
also, sorry to interrupt you, but people would be jealous of this. We actually have a promotional copy of Alaska somewhere around here.
Yeah, do I still have it?
Yeah, I save all that stuff.
I don't know if I have the case.
You don't have the case?
I have the
and
CD.
The CD is pretty damn scratched up.
Yeah. Yeah, so on that tour, Dan actually like gave me the Alaska like promo CD.
Yeah,
and I was just like listening to it in the van, like, because at that point in time you'd have a Discman. This was way back in the day.
Totally.
And I remember just jamming it and being like, oh my God, dude, this is the best thing ever.
Yeah, that's my favorite BTBAM album.
Yeah.
I would love to see an Alaska tour. Whew.
Yeah, because actually the time that we played with them in Southern California, Animosity, it was before Silent Circus was out.
Whoa.
It was like just their first album. And then I actually...
Wait, Dusty was not in the band then?
No, it was like a different lineup.
Blake wasn't in the band?
It was Tommy and Paul, and then all different people. But when I met them right as they were going to release Alaska, that was the same lineup that they've had.
Right, yeah.
And so yeah, I became really good friends with all them, and Dan and I sort of hit it off, just nerding out about music.
Let's rate the solos on Fix the Error, which let's put them in order. Which is the best to worst?
I think Blake's is the best.
Worst to best.
Blake's is the best for sure.
Blake's is the best.
And that's all.
By far.
That's all I can say. I can't say anything.
That's very true. Blake's is the best.
It
And
is
I
the
have
best.
a feeling
His
it's
is the
because
best.
he had the whole song.
Yeah, he's got the most time to learn it and whatnot.
And he heard every solo as well. He had
And
he had the literature.
He also probably was like, all right, I'm going to show these guys up, show them what's going on, you know?
Also, Blake is sick. Like that
Yeah,
too.
that's why I said he's going to show them up.
One of the sickest drummers ever.
Yeah, amazing.
You know, it was great when we did Summer Slaughter with BTBAM was just checking him out side stage every night.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Just watching that Blake action. I loved it.
So yeah, I think they just kind of wanted to get drummers that Blake really was inspired by. I take that back. I don't think he's inspired by me, but I'm talking about the other two guys.
They just wanted to get drummers and Blake just
Well, no, because I was thinking of
were
Ken,
gods on
and
earth.
like I know that he really likes Mike Portnoy, and I know that he really likes Ken a lot.
So he must kind of like
yeah,
you.
I definitely don't think he's inspired by me, but yeah,
He probably
and me. I think they
thinks
just
you're okay.
they had
at
me on
drums.
there just because they kind of like me and they think I'm quirky and funny and stuff like that. So.
They do. I actually do you remember the time that we were at like NAMM and was it Tama's 50th or something?
Yeah.
And we were standing right next to Blake, and I bet there's a video up
There
of
is.
that where you
Which
can
we should-
see
let's
me
play in
and
the post
Navene.
show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll play it in the post show. You can see Navene and I just standing like right in front of Blake, just watching him play drums. And
Yeah.
it was him. It was like Tony Royster Jr. Who else played?
Just I don't know.
It was just a bunch of
guys.
sick Tama guys, and they were like drum kits set up on these circles throughout a room, and we were there in Blake's just rooting him on.
It was cool.
I think all the guys from BTBAM were like with us, right? Or they were there.
I don't know if they're there.
I think
Definitely
they were
Dusty. I actually think we're standing there with Dusty. Yeah.
Which we should get Dusty on the podcast. He lives in Nashville.
We should. We haven't even seen him since we've lived here.
Yeah, I know. Well, we live forever away. We live out in the suburbs.
That's true, the burbs. Oh yeah, so that's how I got on that. Yeah, and I was obviously really honored to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
BTBAM's the goats.
I've looked up to them for a really long time. Particularly because I liked their old band and stuff, and I know that they come from like the hardcore scene too, so it was cool finding out about another hardcore band that was playing different types of music.
Totally.
You know, and that's kind of how I was. Had the hardcore DIY mentality, but wanted to play all sorts of shit.
Yep.
They took that to a whole nother level.
All right.
There's that.
Lycan Lord's wondering what your guys' opinions are on the Cattle Decap album leak.
Oh yeah,
I
Chaney
heard
told me
about
about that
this,
about 5 minutes before the
But
podcast.
I only saw that the cover of the album had been leaked. So is there a song or something?
I don't really know.
I don't really know. I honestly didn't hear about it. Breaking news. Album leak. I didn't hear about it until I saw them post it.
Well, I think the main thing is their response, where at least part of it got leaked or something got leaked. I don't think any of the actual songs did, but they just came out pretty much announcing everything way before they were supposed to.
Yeah, which that sucks because, you know, when you're preparing for an album and everything, you and the team that works with you and your label, they're preparing like a rollout of the album. And for me in particular, because I saw their album art, like they put out the album art. For me, it was a huge thing with the album that we are going to announce next week, that when our cover comes out, the first time our cover comes out, I want pre-order links to be attached to that description. That was like a huge deal for me, to the point that we were actually going to announce our album the day before pre-order links. The day before pre-order links went up.
Wrong one.
And I was like, I asked our label if we could make pre-orders the day before. And I don't know how pre-order links work really with a label, but we have the same label as Cattle, so I think that it's probably similar. They could not move the pre-order link a day ahead. So I'm assuming Cattle probably couldn't announce their album, but they did put out the album art. So for me, like, it was really important to have that link in the description, because I think that there are people who will see the album art and maybe just buy the vinyl because they want that album art. They think it looks cool. And they might see it if there's not a pre-order link attached and be like, oh, I want this album. There's no pre-order link, and never think of it again because they are not really familiar with your band. Or
Right.
you know how everything works on the internet now. It's like you're thinking of one thing and then you can't remember it the next minute. So
Fast paced.
yeah, so I think that in order to get the pre-order link in front of the most eyes possible, honestly, I would have put it out with the last 2 music videos that we put out, but we just couldn't do that. So I think that it takes that away from a band, and that really sucks to me. So as far as like the rollout goes, I think that really sucks. And honestly, if that would have happened to our band, it would be like a knife in the heart for at least a couple of days. But in the grand scheme of things, it probably doesn't matter that much. 5 years from now, no one's going to remember that the album leaked. They're just going to remember how much they loved the album. And Cattle's a big enough band. They're going to get the exposure. People are going to talk about their album all year and for years. So in the long run, you probably don't miss out on a lot, but it is definitely, it's one of those annoying things that sucks, and you kind of get over it.
Yeah. I'd probably just be like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, Navene wouldn't care.
I'm aloof.
I honestly, that's
Chaney's job to care about that kind of
yeah.
shit.
I'd be like, oh my God, no. They can't have the pre-order link.
You know what I would- you know
we
what I
missed
would-
out on all of those.
You know what I would do though? I'd have to like think of some reasons to tell Chaney why it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah,
That would be that's my job.
I'd be like, is it that big of a deal, really? And I'd be asking him all night,
Yeah,
like,
and
are we screwed? No one's ever gonna hear about our band now.
Trust me, I'd figure out some ways to spin it to Chaney.
No, it would be. I think, like I said, in the long run, you got to see the forest from the trees. But it does suck to not, have it all laid out the way you want to. A lot of video people work on making clips to roll out the album and yada yada. So it sucks.
I wonder who leaked it.
Yeah, who leaked that?
I got some information on that. Apparently,
Alright.
Insider
a
info.
14-year-old Russian kid who was doing it to like multiple bands.
Oh, okay.
Snap.
Well, before
Alright.
albums come out, so you might send it to friends and then it leaks that way. But before albums come out, like there are a ton of people, not a ton of people, but people have our album right now who are like listening to it to interview us and do reviews. Like our PR has sent out our album.
Yeah.
So shit happens, people get a hold of it. If they know that someone wants it, then it's just how it works, I guess.
That's how the game goes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that's it for the
All right.
questions this week.
Beautiful. All right, let's wrap up
Well, I
the
think
podcast.
that was a good podcast.
That was great.
I think we did that was a good time.
That was a really fun time, Navene.
Navene interviews.
I had a good time with you, Navene.
I was wanting to be the guest. That was my plan originally,
Yeah.
but it kind of went the other way.
It backfired.
Yeah. So I figured I'd just be interviewer.
My presence demands question.
That's true.
Ding.
That's true.
All
Wow.
right, well-
How'd you do that, Chaney?
All right, everyone.
Yeah,
Well, have a good week. We love y'all out there. Twitch people, stick around for the post show. We have a new song coming out next week. It's called I Am the Void, and we're stoked.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. It's a good video. It's a cinematic experience.
It is. All right, love y'all. Have
We'll
a
see you
good
guys
week.
next week. Peace.
Much love.